At this time, I'd like to go old school and publish this exhibit by just holding it up in front of the jury.
That's fine, or you can just pass it to them and.
Okay, so we can do that stuff on old school. I will pass it to the jury. We'll have them take a look at it. We'll pass it through.
I'm old, so it's just school. Ms. Stauch, you have the right and obligation to be present for your trial. You also have the right for the jury not to see you in restraints. These rights, however, are not without limitation. You also have the responsibility to behave in such a fashion as to make the use of additional restraints unnecessary. Sometimes, during trial, a defendant chooses to act out. You aren't the first defendant to act out. Nevertheless, you cannot act disrespectfully in words or actions. I could hold you in contempt for your conduct in the courtroom. We have moved the tables around. You are now sitting in a chair that does not rock or swivel. You will be directly facing the bench, and you will be more in my line of sight. I want to caution you against certain actions. I also view it as a form of witness intimidation. I could simply have a bolt installed on the underside of the table and have your hands cuffed to that bolt. You wouldn't be able to use your hands. The jury wouldn't be able to see the handcuffs. It would be uncomfortable.
Mr. Cook is retrieving Dr. Lewis.
Okay, so she's not in the building yet?
That's my understanding.
Okay. Do we know where she is? Or how far away?
They're in transit.
Okay, so probably about, like yesterday, about 5-10 minutes or so, something like that. Okay. All right. Court will be in recess then until we have Dr. Lewis.
All right. Audio's working fine, Judge.
Audio's working fine. Okay. Dr. Lewis, I just wanted to double check. My understanding is that at some point during one of your interviews with the defendant, you obtained from the defendant, as I understand it, I think it was a confession that was written in Latin. Is that accurate?
I didn't receive it, but in my notes it says, get hold of a letter written in Latin.
Okay.
So somebody has it.
Well, I want to focus on that for just a moment. You may or may not have had it at some point in time.
No, I never had it.
You never had it.
I've seen it.
Okay.
I became aware of it very recently.
So it's fair to say then that it is not in your possession now. It's not in the stack of notes and things that you have now. All right. We good?
You want consistency in your persona. If you want to say Maria comes out in a Russian accent, she should come out and speak in a Russian accent.
You should have.
Is that logical?
Logic. It is not logical.
Okay.
They are as logical as dreams.
So you handed her a piece of paper and asked her to sign her name.
Yeah.
What happened to that piece of paper?
I will certainly find it for you.
Oh, wait a minute here. You just told the court
What?
that you don't have these documents, that you lost them. That's what you just...
There's probably, this is probably it.
Your Honor,
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have you step out in the hallway back to the jury room, please. Guys, for the jury, please. Mr. Young?
Your Honor, I hate to say I predicted this, but this is exactly what I predicted was going to happen. That somehow she pulls these documents out when confronted on them. And that's why I wanted to get on the record that she lost them. And the record should reflect that the witness is now giving Mr. Tellini a series of documents that she has on her lap.
And if
Let's finish it out. What's the record? What is it that you're being handed?
these are documents that were already provided.
Okay, so show them to Mr. Young. And let's see if
At least,
they are what he understands them to be.
I haven't seen that.
I've never seen that.
I don't know what this is.
Mr. Young, what are you requesting as a remedy?
If she's got these documents, I'd like to have them. And I don't want to be surprised by them when I'm asking her when she's already told the court she didn't have them.
All right, well, here's the easy solution to this. You look through everything she has in her lap, then we'll see where we are, and we can go from there.
Line of thinking is confused, addled, and frightened, and
Why didn't you ask her about why she gave Gannon an excessive amount of hydrocodone?
I didn't know that she gave that.
Do you think that's important?
Only if I know for sure she gave somebody that.
You read the autopsy report? You know it's there.
I know that he had this. I don't know who gave it to him. I've many cases where children have excessive amounts of poisonous things in their food. But there are many different reasons for it.
Your Honor, those are my questions. Thanks. I have no further questions for this witness.
Your direct?
I'll try to go. Dr. Lewis, how are you?
We're not going to rehash everything, but I do want to clear up.
I'm going
What I
to, Your Honor,
heard was that the court refused.
Sustained.
I was told.
Your Honor, I have an objection.
Stop. The objection was sustained. The witness will stop responding to a question when an objection has been sustained. The jury will disregard the witness's answer. You can ask another question.
All right. Moving on to some of the other stuff. The district attorney on his cross insinuated some stuff that the motive for killing Gannon. Had I expressed my frustration that she wouldn't account for taking Gannon to Florida, or she wouldn't account for the stab wounds?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation as to what Mr. Freeney was thinking.
Had I expressed that to you?
He said expressed, so I think
Well, then it's hearsay.
well, can't repeat what Mr. Bellini had said, but maybe you should move to your next question, and I can see where you're going.
Was there ever any attempt by myself saying by myself to try to get her to say something specific or some type of theory or anything like that I had done with you?
Era.
Okay. And if I was going to do something unethical, as they seem to be implying, I would have just been able to do that confidentially instead of on an open video.
I'm going to object to that form of question.
Sustained.
If I was trying to feed her a story, it wouldn't make any sense for me to do it in that setting where it's recorded, would it?
No.
A report, and she was expounding on what she had seen in the video and what was going on.
Well, I'm going to allow it. I'm also going to end this answer.
Okay.
You can rule it out in just 20, 30, 40 minutes. Is that what you're saying?
Generally, and then if there's
Okay.
more information, I can
Now,
always
in
go back.
dissociative identity disorder,
I'm going to ask that she be allowed to finish her answer before the next question.
Sustained. You can
then I'm going to ask that she be more responsive to the question and answer it and not.
I understand. It seemed to me that it was responsive to the question. You can go ahead and finish your answer.
I was just trying to say that if there were other symptoms that came up, a diagnosis is something that is working. Could it be changed if new symptoms come up? Absolutely.
And
How, period, does the FBI find people, and people's misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E?
Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case?
Oh, she found out.
What is the next search on February 28, 2020?
7:49 p.m. How, period, does the FBI find fugitives?
In the final search on February 28, 2020.
Before Al flies to Oklahoma. So Saturday the 25th at 12:16 p.m., find real military singles was searched.
The next search on February 21st, 2020.
6:47 p.m., face disguise.
The next search on February 21st, 2020.
6:49 p.m., full face and then change, but it's misspelled CHAMGE.
And the next search on February 21st, 2020.
6:51 p.m., first face transplant woman.
The next search on February 21st, 2020.
Also at 6:51 p.m., full face transplant.
The next search on February 21st, 2020.
6:51 p.m., face, but it's misspelled.
The next search on, I'm not sure what's so funny over here, Judge, but a lot of interruptions coming from my left. The next search on February 26th, 2020.
8:10 a.m., can they trace Snapchat?
The next search on February 26th, 2020.
8:30 a.m., Colorado closed cases.
And why you were able to say she does not have dissociative identity disorder.
Objection, leading, Your Honor.
Well, it was compound. You need to rephrase.
Did that have an impact on your opinion that she rendered that she does not have dissociative identity disorder?
Yes.
Approach witness.
You may, go ahead.
Recognize that document?
Yes, it's the visitation log report.
And is it the visitation log reports for Ms. Stauch
Yes.
at the El Paso County Jail?
Is hearsay. Can't testify to what that is. If they want to get somebody that can lay a proper foundation for this document, that's fine. This is not the person to do that.
Well, she may be, she may not be. I don't know that. You need to ask her whether or not it's a business record and whether she can lay the foundation for a business record.
You recognize this document as a business record?
Yes.
Surprise question, right? Is this something that's routinely kept at the jail and is actually an open record for the public?
Yes.
And is this a business record with regards to professional visits of Ms. Stauch?
Yes.
And would this reflect any professional visits by her attorneys in the time frame we're talking about, March 20th?
Your Honor, I'm objecting
Yes.
under Crawford. This is hearsay. I can't cross-examine this document or the person.
Your Honor, he brought this up.
Stop, both of you. I have an objection. If I want a response, I'll ask for one. The objection's overruled. Right now, we're working on laying a business record exception to the hearsay rule. So let's deal with that first. It hasn't been asked to be offered to be admitted yet, but I understand what we're dealing with. It's been identified for the record. Go ahead and move it.
And Your Honor, could you advise Mr. Young to not taunt me in open court? Actually, the person who brought this up originally, so yelling across the courtroom, I don't appreciate, and I don't think it's professional.
Let's make sure we're all on the same page. I make the rulings. Everybody directs their comments to me. If there's an objection, I'll ask for grounds. I'll rule on the objection. We'll move on. So everybody, both sides, direct your comments to me. And we'll leave it at that. Mr. Young, you were in the midst of making or establishing a foundation for a business record. Go ahead.
So this is what you purported it to be, the jail logs for professional visits at that time frame when Ms. Stauch told you that Gannon was found in Florida. You remember that?
Yes.
It's my understanding that Dr. Lewis met with the defendant yesterday for about 3 hours at the jail.
By rule and by my order, the expert reports were to be filed no later than 35 days prior to the time that we commence trial. But my position would be, unless you can persuade me otherwise, she's going to be limited to exactly and precisely what she's disclosed in her report. This is far too late at this point for new opinions. So, well, I've given both sides a way to proceed forward. I understand that neither side probably likes it. If she's changed her opinions, and that change is not permitted to be presented to the jury because of late disclosure, it's irrelevant. If she had a 3-hour meeting with the defendant and I prohibit that testimony because it was not disclosed in a timely fashion as it was supposed to, it's irrelevant. If she had a 3-hour meeting with the defendant and it doesn't change any of her opinions, and she's limited to the opinions that she disclosed, it's also irrelevant.
It would be the people's position if she's already issued a report and rendered opinions, why did she feel the need to meet with her again for 3 hours?
Well, that's you opening up the door. I want to know why it is that you had to have this meeting instead of just saying this is what your opinion was as you issued it, back on March 16th, and she stuck with that and you know what it is. What you want to do is inquire into something that you don't know what the answers are, and you're concerned that the answers are going to be really bad, and you want to know about that ahead of time. And I've already provided the response.
Okay.
So we have what we have. I
I'm
can't
just
change
making
it.
a record, Your Honor, as to
Okay.
why I'm bringing it up.
No, I understand, but none of us here can change the facts. They are what they are. I just have to try and deal with them and craft a solution on the fly.
With regards to going to this Worlds, for instance, too much information, but when I'm having a problem trying to go to sleep, I go to a beach and I think about sitting on that beach and listening to the ocean. Am I suffering from some kind of dissociative identity disorder because I do that?
I would say that I would need to do a more thorough assessment.
No further questions. Yeah, I did. All right, well, I guess maybe I'm off. I don't know. I'm never going to think about that again. Let's talk about Maria, okay? Her different personality with Maria. How significant is that to your evaluation? I feel really silly about bringing up the